Welcome to the channel, guys. My name is Jess. So Bitcoin is heating up and the price action is compressing, but are we about to see a breakout or a breakdown? Let's dive into the video today to talk about the short-term price action, the critical resistance at 104k, what's going to push us up to 106, or warn us that there's a sharp correction coming back down to 100. Let's get into it. As always, before we dive in, make sure you guys smash that like button and subscribe to the channel to get regular Bitcoin analysis every Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday, and sign up to my free Telegram for more regular Bitcoin updates. If you're a trader and you're interested in my VIP channel, be sure to message me down below on Telegram. VIP gives you exclusive access to my personal trading setups with exact entry points, targets, and stop losses. Alright guys, so diving into the video, let's talk about all the recent price action before jumping into our analysis. So we can see here, just on the daily time frame, Bitcoin has had a really bullish last couple of weeks. We've seen a massive breakout from the 2025 downtrend, and since then have gone on to rally all the way back up to $104,000, where currently we are seeing some compression on the short time frame. Even here on the daily chart, we can see that the last 24 hours have seen strict movement between these two levels here. We have a short time frame base of support at $102,300 and a clear horizontal resistance on the short time frame as well here at 104k, right? That most recent top point. If we take a look at market data, we can see the market is again slowing down. 24-hour volume is down by 30%, while open interest is still up 5%. 24-hour liquidations are also down by 50% as well, right? So current long to shorts are sitting at 50-50. The market is really sitting in quite an equilibrious state, and we aren't really moving anywhere for the last couple of days. So as we move into periods of compression after such an extensive rally, we really want to know whether or not this compression is going to lead to further bullish continuation and a continued breakout, or whether or not it is a warning sign that this loss and this slowdown is going to result in a sharp correction to retrace prior levels of support, and whether or not we'll bounce from there. And all of that uncertainty is really compounded by the fact that this rally was really driven by news, by Trump's trade deal with the UK, causing a massive rally because obviously the trade deals decrease pressure on inflation, which is bullish for the market as interest rates are more likely to drop in the coming future, right? But now that that news is out and, there is nothing really pushing that massive change in sentiment, it really exacerbates the compression that we're seeing in the markets. So moving over to the weekly time frame, let's talk about why this level of resistance and the compression that we're seeing here is so important. So taking a look at the weekly chart, we can see that essentially after all the rallying that we've done in the last 7 days and prior to this upcoming weekly candle close, Bitcoin has essentially moved on to consolidate or travel within this prior weekly range, starting at $93.4 thousand and ending at 104.5k, right? So that is the weekly candle range high and the highest that Bitcoin has ever closed a weekly candle in the past, right? So it presents a massive level of resistance. But what it also means from a technical standpoint is that as we approach or re-enter this prior parallel channel or historical range, a breakout from this range could then signal a movement in the height of that channel, right, as the measured move, taking us all the way up to around $115,000 and resulting in another nearly 10% rally or over 10% rally for Bitcoin, right? So we're talking new all-time highs, new weekly range highs, and just overall exceptionally bullish price discovery type price action, right? So this level of resistance is really important, and what we see on the short time frame as Bitcoin retraces and retests these levels, what we see there is really important because it has the potential to dictate what we see from Bitcoin over the next coming weeks as well. And now that also means, though, if we don't see a breakout here on the weekly chart or push above $104,000, there is a potential here that at this level of resistance, we start to see some form of steep correction, right? We can see over the last couple of days, Bitcoin really hit a wall as we approach that level of resistance. And it really puts into question whether or not we actually have the strength currently, because we have rallied a lot already to push past this level. And if we don't, where could the correction really take us? Will it mean a movement all the way down to the base, as we've seen in the past, this massive amount of volatility and chop between those two levels, or do we have other levels of support? So going back to the daily time frame, if we take a look at the historical price action and the chop within that weekly range on a smaller time frame, we can see sort of really important trigger levels that have existed between 93.5 and 104k. And those two key levels are at 91.5 $90.6 and $100,000. This was our sort of weekly range as it showed up on the daily chart. And historically, how that played out was as long as we retained support at 91.6 thousand, we had the potential to sort of push upwards to retest 100K resistance. And at 100K resistance, if we manage to push above and establish support on that level, bouncing the daily candle close on the retest, we generally would see Bitcoin push upwards to retest new all-time highs and, sort of retest the upper end of that weekly range. So here what we're seeing is after we recovered above $91.6 thousand, we went up to retest $100,000, and now that we've broken above, what we need to see if Bitcoin has a potential correction here at this level of resistance is for the price action to establish support on $100,000. That's what's going to facilitate, further bullish movement and a push up to 104 and new all-time highs as we've seen in the past, right? So that's our sort of current crucial level of support. And actually, really interestingly, if we go over to the Gaussian channel on the 3-day chart, which is another really important macro indicator, I've talked about it a couple times on the channel, particularly sort of that midline level on the Gaussian channel being a bear market sort of trigger, breaking above that and rejecting from that and then falling below the Gaussian channel. But what we can also see is on the other side, whenever Bitcoin breaks above the Gaussian channel on the 3-day chart, we generally see a really aggressive high time frame rally. This was around 150% over here, breaking above. This was about a 46% rally. We had a 50% rally over here, 40% rally over here, and this was like around 500%, right? And it typically marks a really massive breakout. And if we can take a look at the most recent 3-day candle close, which just happened yesterday, we have finally broken back above the 3-day Gaussian channel after pushing it below it and sort of retesting the base of it and the midline for a couple of days as we sort of consolidated between $74,000 and $92,000, right? So really big things are happening. But if we take a look at where exactly that Gaussian channel sits, it is once again at 100K, right? So again, confirming the fact that if we see a correction, that correction cannot take us lower than that level. This is our crucial support, and maintaining travel above that Gaussian channel is going to facilitate that high time frame bullish rallying as we've seen in the past. So the weekly candle close is about 24 hours away, or just over 24 hours away. For those of us in Australia, it happens on a Monday morning at 10 a.m. and it's currently 9:30 on a Sunday morning, right? So a little bit more than 24 hours away. And in this next weekly candle close, if we want to see a breakout from Bitcoin, right, a close above $104.5 thousand, we're currently re-entering that range right now. On the daily time frame in the next 24 hours, what we want to see is a re-entry or really an entry into this liquidity zone, this sort of selling zone that we're seeing right here. So resistance starting from $103.2 thousand and ending at $106.3 thousand. We can see the last 2 daily candle closes here. We tested that level and saw large wicks back down, right? So an inability to push into that selling pressure in that liquidity zone, right? So right now, what we're seeing with the daily candle close 35 minutes away is Bitcoin is currently pushing into that level. So let's dive into the short time frame and talk about what's going on. So zooming into the 1-hour chart here for Bitcoin, we can see very clearly the compression that's been going on at that level of resistance. And so what we've actually ended up developing is a short time frame uptrend against a horizontal level of resistance, aka an ascending triangle structure, a bullish structure. And very recently, as I've been filming this video, we saw a breakout from this RSI downtrend, signaling momentum has finally flipped bullish, and we're seeing enough strength to push past this short time frame sell wall sitting at $104,000. So the measured move for this ascending triangle breakout, if we continue to see this rally as it should, is up to $105.6 thousand, right? So again, when I planned this video, we hadn't broken out yet, and I was basically going to make the video about how, we're traveling in a bullish structure and we should see a breakout, and that breakout should take us into the liquidity zone. So that's great. We're already seeing it. And Bitcoin essentially over the next 24 hours needs to just maintain these levels. So now that we've broken out, what we're looking out for on these short hour, the hourly charts, is for a maintenance of travel above this level here, 104K. That is our newly established level of short time frame support, resistance flipped to support. And we want to see that support sustained as we continue this bullish rallying. So momentum maintaining above this uptrend as well. I want to see continued bullish momentum and a push up to $106,000, the measured move for that breakout. If we don't and we lose 104K as support, the best case scenario here that retains our sort of short time frame bullish narrative and the breakout of the weekly chart is continued travel at the very least among our short time frame uptrend over here, right? We currently have 1, 2, 3 contact points and previously, you know, some clear sort of absorption happening along that uptrend, right? And so we want to continue to see that happen. And the worst case scenario is in losing our current short time frame uptrend, Bitcoin will then go down to retrace these prior lows in that uptrend as support. So starting off, we have 103,000. Below that, we have this double bottom here, a massive level of short time frame support at 102.3 thousand. We have a volume gap just below that, taking us to a peak here at $101.3 thousand. We can see that sort of volume there happening, and then just below that is that crucial level of support on the daily time frame that we want to make sure we bounce from 100K, right? We can see once again we've got just another little volume gap right there, taking us right down to 100K as well. Alrighty guys, that is a wrap on the analysis for today. Thank you for tuning in for another episode. If you enjoyed the video or you learned something, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe to the channel to get regular Bitcoin analysis every Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. And join my free Telegram for more regular Bitcoin updates. If you're interested in my VIP trading channel, don't forget to message me down below on Telegram. VIP gives you exclusive access to my personal trading setup, so the exact entry points, targets, and stop losses. Hope you guys have a great week, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!